Hey, this is Linda West with Living Live. I am your global mastermind coach. Today, I am super duper excited to introduce you to one of my friends, Peter Katz. Now, Peter is a singer and songwriter, and today we're going to talk about his journey, how he became a singer-songwriter, and how he went from having 0 people in the audience to thousands, raving fans. So, Peter, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you here today.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And I know you live in Canada. A little bit about who you are, what you do, where you live, and how you got into this starving musician thing.
I think the musician thing is more about like an affliction. It's like you get into it because you have to, and you just can't be a satisfied person if you're not doing it. So I got into music like as a kid. I played violin and piano, and then when I was around 12, 13, I started playing guitar. And as soon as I started playing guitar, then it was kind of off to the races from there. I just as far as wanting to, something about playing guitar made me like want to sing, want to write, and you can kind of learn to read chords. You can already start, writing songs, and then I guess I kind of did that through my teen years, and then I discovered open mic when I was at my first year at university, and that really got me up on stage. Started going to open mics all around the city, started booking my own shows, and then kind of worked it up to like 150, 200 shows a year for many years. And those early days of touring were pretty bleak, but I knew that I wanted to be playing every day. I wanted to be getting better at this thing that I wanted to do for my career, and I was like, the only way that I'm ever going to get at it is if it's what I'm doing every single day of my life. So I just kind of threw myself into playing all these shows with not a lot of people, but that allowed me to like build up my repertoire of hundreds of songs and just kind of log those, Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours on stage, and eventually, was able to record a bunch of albums, and eventually I had a song in 2015 called Brother that did quite well here in Canada at least, and started actually filling venues finally, and also ended up doing a lot of touring in Europe and stuff like that, and just got a new record now that's done. It's been done for many months, and we're just figuring out all the industry finagling to actually get it out.
That's awesome. I love it. I know a lot of musicians. I'm a musician myself. I play bass guitar in a rock band. I don't know if I told you that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I've been playing since I was about 47, I think is when I started learning how to play bass guitar. Wow. But I grew up around musicians. I played flute for 10 years, But so are you one of those who, when you first got that guitar, and because I know it seems to be that guitar is that instrument that a lot of people, once they get that guitar in their hand, it's like they have to carry it around with them everywhere. Like they got it on their back, right? And I've seen people so many places just carrying that guitar around with them. It's such a different instrument, I think, that it just, I don't know, maybe you can explain it. Like, how does it sing to you in a way that you were just like, this is the one, like mesmerized by it, I guess. I don't know. What is it about guitar?
I don't know. It's kind of like just like I think part of it is like we've just heard so much guitar. Like it's obviously one of the main like instruments used in so much of modern music and or classic music, not classical music, but I don't know. It's just, I've just got my guitar right here. It's just like this. It's the kind of thing that you just kind of, there's a million different combinations, and I think you also have this like big I've never thought about this. You have this like big resonant box that's literally like pressed against your body, and so it's just such a satisfying feeling, to have this music come out of this thing, and then obviously you're fully able to sing, and you can stand, like put a strap on, and you can walk around, and I don't know, it's just such a beautiful instrument, and it's always a bit of a riddle to solve, like I love playing piano as well, but when I look at a piano, it's kind of like it's all kind of laid out there in front of me, And there's things I love about the piano as far as like the way the low end can ring out in it. Piano is kind of a combination of like a percussive instrument and a melodic instrument. But there's just something about the guitar that's like you said, you can kind of just strap it on, take it anywhere, and just makes you want to noodle. And noodling, I think, kind of makes you want to write songs. At least it does for me.
That's cool. When did you? Well, first, I hadn't even thought about like the resonance, because there's a difference between an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar, right? Where you have that big, like you said, that big box is against your body. So there's this like vibration that is caused in the guitar that's now vibrating against your body. So that resonance right there, does that cause an emotion for you at all?
Yeah, it feels sort of like an extension, like it feels like, yeah, it just feels like an extension of my body. And, one of my favorite things in a lot of my songs, like early songwriting stuff, is just, lying in bed with the guitar on your chest. And I love that feeling of the, feeling that resonance and just kind of letting my fingers go where they want to go. And yeah, I know it's just such a magical instrument with like a million possible combinations, and and then you can always like change the tuning, like Joni Mitchell or whatever would just like do all these crazy tunings, and all of a sudden you have all these different ways of making chords, and so it's kind of one of those things that like you never really solve. Like you can always keep learning about it and learning different ways of playing it, and you can also like do so much. Like in the early days of learning guitar, even if you know 3 chords, you can literally play like a million different songs. And so, so there's something about that too, that it kind of like opens up music, like it just gives you access to music in a kind of instant way, and in a really satisfying way, especially if you're like, like to sing, and, you could literally learn all your favorite songs within the first few months of learning how to play guitar, so I love that. And then you get better at it.
My husband taught my son how to play guitar, and he literally taught him 3 chords, and it was with those 3 chords that now he is writing his own music and performing, places around where he lives. And so it really does open up so much. So I want to talk to you about like you're starting your journey of playing in public. Like, let's like go back to, not only like I want to hear your first experience playing in public, but then what was it like when you were able to, like, I want you to tell the story about your first time, playing in front of a lot of people. Sure. I love that journey. It's an amazing story.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the early days of performing were open mics where I'd kind of get up and do 2 songs. And then, eventually I had enough material to like, put together a 45-minute set. And that was a friend of mine, my first ever like show where I played, more than 2 songs. A friend of mine had booked a show, and he had to do 3 45-minute sets, and he didn't have enough music to do all 3 45-minute sets. So he's like, hey, you do one of the 45-minute sets. I was like, all right. And so I basically played like every single original song that I'd written at that point. And then, over time, like eventually you start wanting to record these songs that you're writing. So I made my first album in my friend's, literally they had this like laundry closet that had like washer, dryer, and a little space, that was sheltered from the outside noise. So I was sat in there and made my first album. The next album we did in a basement. And then eventually, you kind of save up enough money and make your first album within like a proper recording studio. And then kind of every step that you do, you have kind of more of a calling card, and you can get better shows, and then you can, put it up online and get it out on the airwaves, hopefully, and people start to find you, and then start to play bigger shows. And then there's also these like unexpected ways that your music, once you put it out there, that it can find its way out there. Like one of my favorite stories that I know about is, I rolled into this town in Alberta, in Fort Macleod, Alberta. Never heard of this town before, never been there before. And, was in the midst of a kind of challenging tour at that time, had played to like 6 people the night before and 10 people the next night, not really anything to write home about. And then I walked into this, 300 seat theater, scratching my head as to why I was booked there and who the heck was going to show up. And then proceeded to walk out on stage, and the place was packed to the rafters, and they knew all of my songs. And it was this. Turns out that there was this mentoring program for teenagers in the mountains out there that had been using my songs as part of their curriculum, completely unbeknownst to me. And so, like, hundreds of kids every summer were being exposed to my music, and there was a whole community of people that loved my music, and I had no idea. And so that's kind of part of the fun of it too, is just the way that your songs can find a way out there once you put them out there. And that's the kind of piece that's always been out of my control. So I've been really pleasantly surprised over and over again in all these different ways. Another really cool thing that happened was the night that I decided to play music for the rest of my life was the night I saw Glenn Hansard play. And, he's always, from that day, became kind of like my musical hero. And I had, I always give him like a burn CD of like, hey, this is some of my music. And about 5 years after, I gave him, some of my music, he was up on stage and, in front of like 1,000 people and saw me out in the audience and was like, hey, I love your music, and called me up on stage, and, I was in front of like 1,000 plus people, and he handed me his guitar, and I got to play, one of my songs, and, I went on to like open some shows for him and do some recording together. And so it's kind of amazing what happens when you just kind of put stuff out there. And then, I could literally talk for the next 5 hours of all these unbelievable stories that people have said, oh, your song was there as my baby was being born, or your song was there. It was a really sad event, but just like, a couple weekends ago, I played at a kind of celebration for life for this young man who passed away from leukemia. And his mom walked up to me afterwards and said, we listened to your song like every single day as our son was passing away, and like this song was like such a comfort to us. So I'm just always blown away by that, and I can't ever control that piece, but I just trust that if I put my love and my care and everything I've got into these little songs, that there's a chance they're going to mean something to somebody out there, and they mean something to me no matter what. So that's motivating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, music is a universal language, right? It's like no matter what language you speak, you can always hear, or if you can hear, right? You can always hear music, and it might resonate with you in different ways than other people. And being able to have that attachment, like, there's different songs in my life that is like as you said, share the story of the woman with a son with leukemia. Yeah. And I just think about songs in my life that have been like really big, pivotal songs for me because something was happening while I was hearing that song. And so that song would carry that memory with me forever. And so that's so awesome. So how many songs have you written to date? Do you know?
A lot. I mean, I don't actually have a running tally, but for this new record that I just made, I sent 60 songs to the producer. So like 60. So,
60?
Okay. All new, and I think my last record there was over 50, and I've made 6 or 7 records at this point, and not that I've always done that many. My first record, I think every song I had written was on the record. It's in the hundreds for sure. Like several hundreds.
Wow, that's cool. So what's interesting is like in the old days, right? Before records were digital, you could only have so many songs. It's a two-sided album, like an actual real album. And then from the albums it went to CDs, and still you were limited because the space is only so much. And now it really is unlimited what you can do. So I want to know, like, what you mentioned a gentleman's name. I think you said, was it Glenn? I
Glenn
think you said.
Hansen, yeah.
Yeah. So was he your biggest inspiration for music, or is there somebody else in your life who has been like your biggest inspiration to start putting yourself out there?
Yeah, I think Glenn, you know, certainly like musically, like I said, I decided to play music for the rest of my life the night I saw him play, and you know, there was something about like obviously, you know, musically like amazing, like incredible singer, you know, guitarist, like songwriter, like everything about it was just like mind blowing. But also like just the way he was with the audience, the way he was with people afterwards, the way he was just so gracious and open and kind, and you know, I feel like it gave me the like motivation musically to want to like aspire to be as good as he is, and it also gave me a template of this is how you treat people along the way. Like, you know, there's a certain, I don't know if it's a pressure or whatever, but like as an artist, to kind of be like, you have to be like approved, and you have to be removed, and you have to be this like enigma. And I respect that, understand that, and I think like it is good to like some of your cards to yourself as far as so that you're free to make whatever artistic choice you want to make, you know. And you also need to like create space for silence and like experience that you can, you know, turn stuff into music. But I think like the way that Glenn just sort of made himself like one of them, and never made me feel like, hey, he's up here and I'm down here. It was like, hey, we're all in this together, and he showed a, you know, particular, you know, respect and appreciation for fellow musicians. And so I've always tried to kind of pay that forward in my career, and you know, create opportunities for younger songwriters. You know, somebody, you know, send their music, you know, listen to it and try to, you know, get feedback. I'm able to take a while, but you know, it's always something that I do. And then I'll just try to make myself accessible to people that are connected to music, you know, as much as possible. Again, there's only so many hours in a day. But certainly
Right.
show, like I'll stand after the show and I'll, you know, shake every single person's hands who wants to come say hello, and if someone wants to share a story about, you know, how my music has been part of their lives, like I want to hear that story. I want to look in the eye, and I want to know that it matters to me that they're sharing that with me, and I feel like I kind of then modeled that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. And everybody listening, he really is an amazing man, just really with a big heart. And I remember when I first reached out to you, it was you were going to be speaking at Secret Knock. I'm the organizer of the event, and I reached out to you. And at first, I was like, should I feel intimidated? Kind of first, I just had this immediate reaction because you're in this star level, and you just never know who you're going to be talking to. And then you're so humble, and I was like, oh, thank goodness, he's a really, really nice guy, because you just never know who you're going to be talking to. So thank you for being that.
Well, thanks. And I think, I don't see myself as, I really don't see myself as having like solved any of the riddles, or I'm really grateful that I get to make my living, and I can go around places in the world, and people will, a certain amount of people will come out and buy tickets, but there's a lot that's really humbling about this career too, and you're always trying to figure out the next thing, and you may have one song that does really well and you have a great run of shows, but then it's like, okay, what's next? And you don't do something for 6 months and people are like, what happened? Did you die? Like, you don't exist.
Oh gosh.
So it's I think it makes sense to kind of stay humble too in this life, because there's that at the end of the day, no matter what happens, my job is to like like my job description stays the same. Like wake up in the morning and like try to be a better artist, try to be a better person, try to connect with people, try to be good to whoever crosses my path, and that never changes, you know.
Yeah, that's good, because that's who you are. That is who you are. So another question here is, what or the favorite city you've toured?
Oh man, I have a bit of a soft spot for the Netherlands. I've toured a lot there, and that was kind of the first. That was a bit of the first place where I started to play the kind of shows that I wanted to play, you know, where they were like beautiful venues and people were coming out and they were listening. And, you know, I played these like incredible old churches like in Utrecht and Rotterdam. And I just was like, wow, like this is good stuff, you know, and you just get treated with like just respect and appreciation. Like I feel like most, I don't want to speak for other artists, but myself as a musician, like the biggest challenge is that you just want to be able to do what you do, you know, like
right.
you just want to be able to like have great sound and like great vibe and lighting and like a great audience that wants to be there. And it's like, if all of that is in place, then it's like, then you really get to have fun, you know. But so much of being an artist it's like being an entrepreneur, and you're worried about ticket sales, and you're worried about marketing, and you're worried about this, that, and the other thing. And there's, you know, my favorite moment, and your health, you know, like especially as a singer, it's like, you know, you're traveling all the time. It's like, you know, get a cold or whatever. So like my favorite moment is like, the show is sold out. Sound check went great. Everybody's healthy. And I'm about to walk out on stage, you know? And it's like, that to me is the most relaxed. When I'm about to walk out, I'm like, now I get to do the thing, you know? I'm not scared about doing a great job at the show, or I'm just scared about like all the elements of like making that come together. But once all those pieces are in place, then I'm like, dumbest thing I could do in that moment would be to not enjoy the moment. Not to mention, you know, I always think like every single person in that audience has like taken their precious Friday night or Tuesday night or whatever it might be, and they hired a babysitter, and they've taken the bus, or they've parked their car, or they coordinated a plan with friends, or they're spending their paycheck. Like there's all of this energy that's come together for that moment to happen. Let's like squeeze every bit out of it and be with each other and enjoy it, and like that's the best moment. So I guess to come back full circle, like I started to feel like I started having those moments in the Netherlands at first, and so it kind of has a special place in my heart. But I've been very fortunate to play in some beautiful places, and I've toured, you know, so much that there's not a city that I can't, you know, like every city that I roll into, you know, I have stories with a lot of people in the audience, you know, whether it's I had a meal at their place, or my car broke down and they helped me change the tire, or I got stranded in a snowstorm and they picked me up, or, you know, especially in the early years, you know, I would tour across Canada for 7 weeks. I wouldn't stay in one hotel, you know, that was just people putting me up, and everywhere you go, they, you know, take care of you, and you just, you know, touring Canada, like, used to feel like just a big homecoming, like everywhere I went, and you know, so it just feels like I could tell you great stories. I've got great memories from so many cities, so many different people, you know?
The Netherlands has the special place in your heart, right?
I guess they were first, you know?
Yeah, it's just like your first love, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay, what age were you with your first love?
Oh gosh. Well,
I was I'll tell mine. I was, well, I thought I was in love at sixth grade. So what is that, 11?
Right.
But my real first love was seventh grade. His name was Greg. That was my first real love. We lasted a whole week.
A whole week?
I know.
At what point did you say I love you? Like 10 minutes in? Was it?
Oh, not really. I never said it out loud. Are you kidding? I was in seventh grade.
Right. You just knew it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I guess
what about you?
My first love was probably when I was 14. Amanda.
I had you darn. I was 13.
Yeah.
14. You remember her name?
Amanda.
And then were you guys together for a couple days?
No, like several months.
Okay, that's a long time at that age.
Yeah, it was a few months. And I don't even know why we broke up. It was like we stayed friends since then. But we laughed about it I thought she was going to break up with me, so I broke up with her. It was like some kind of like rumor mill, or I don't know what. Some ridiculous thing.
Yeah, for me, the reason I got I know, like I look back now, it's like, why did I get together with that guy? Well, for a whole week. Okay, the reason I got together with that guy is because he was the antithesis of what my sister liked. Like my oldest sister, he was like 100% the opposite, and so I had to go against my sister. That was like the whole thing. That was it. Hey, the things we do as kids, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Peter, I see you have your guitar there. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so you're going to play a song for us. So share with us the song that you're going to play and like why you've selected this song and what does this song mean to you? Because I'm going to assume this is an assumption because I know that with my husband, this is the case. He's written over 110 songs, my husband.
Wow.
And every song has a story, has a meaning. There's a reason why he wrote each and every song. Yeah. So this song, if there is a story to it, you can tell us what the story is and then go ahead and play the song for us.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about what to play for you. About 10 minutes before the interview started, I was like, and all I want to do is play a new song, but I'm not allowed to play new songs yet. I'm out of the world, so I have to like under wraps.
Okay.
But I was thinking about, you and I had a wonderful conversation yesterday that was really helpful to me, and I thought I'd play a song that I'd like never really played online or anything like that, or played too much, but it's from my last record. It's kind of like a little bit of a buried track, but I've always loved this song, and it's kind of relevant to what I've been feeling in my life these days, which is watching people like my grandfather and these people who were ahead of me and looking at them and just thinking like it looked like they had it all together, like they just were just like constantly confident, and they solved all the problems, and it just seemed like everything was smooth sailing for them, and sort of like wanting to say like, hey, did you ever feel the way I feel and feel the feelings of lost and disoriented? Like, did you ever feel like I did? Is there a story that you haven't told me about what it was really like? And so I wrote this song called "Story You Forgot." Sort of like asking them, did you ever feel the way that I? So
I love it.
Yeah. There you go. This is called "Story You Forgot."
Is there a story? Is there a story you forgot? One I've never heard, where there's worry and in your stomach only night, and at a loss for I've been here How did you get there? How did you find your way through the darkest of your days? How did you get there? How did you take the way? Carry on the dreams you made. And were you reckless? Did you make the same mistakes and then repeat them? Were you breathless as you lay in bed awake, down undefeated? I've been here watching you for years and years. How did you get there? How did you find your way through the darkest of your days? How did you get there? How did you take the way? Carrying the dreams you made. 'Cause I've been burning up my days with the worry I can't shake, fighting through the nights awake. Oh, 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 oh. How did you get there? How did you find your way through the darkest of your days? How did you get there? How did you take the way? Carrying the dreams you made. Oh, 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 oh. Carrying the dreams you made. Oh, 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 oh. Carrying the dreams you made.
That was awesome. I had me off screen. Nobody could see me going like this. That's awesome. I love it. The lyrics and just had me thinking about, my family, like my lineage, right? Like they're all gone. And so there's no way I can get those questions answered, but it really just brings some thought about how, like me, for my life, how can I help to impart that information to my kids and to my grandkids? And so thank you so much. What a beautiful song. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. And I should give a shout out to my co-writer on that song, a guy named Hayden Burst. So
great job. Great job. So now if people wanted to bring you to their town, would they just go to peterkatz.com and find out how to get you there?
peterkatz.com is the hub for all things. We're about to actually relaunch the website with a new album that's coming.
Okay.
But nevertheless, it's the information will always be there. And I'm sure there's going to be pretty extensive touring happening, around the new record, where all of that's being sorted out right now. But then there's a place on my website that says like peterkatz.com/book a show. And, we can always, wherever there's demand, I will, if it makes sense with the schedule, we'll always go do it. So.
And then where else can people find your music? You're on iTunes and those kinds of places?
Yeah, iTunes, if record stores still exist where you are.
Do they exist anywhere?
I don't know. They're definitely closing down. So, but certainly online, iTunes, all the usual suspects, all the music is up there and new stuff. And obviously, YouTube, we're about to, a whole bunch of new content that's coming. And in the last week, I had this Halo cover that I did, this Beyonce cover. And it's been going bananas. It's like pushing 1.3 million views, and I got about 500,000 of those views in the last 7 days. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but anyways, there's lots of content of mine, mostly original stuff, but there's a few fun covers and stuff like that.
You're going viral, or you've gone viral.
I've gone viral, and I don't know what to do about it. I need to figure out what that means. But
you need that. Oh, we got Shyla Day tuning in. Hi, Shyla. She's also
Shyla Day,
recording artist, and she has many awards and stuff too. So that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. You've gone viral. So this is now the next step, right? It's like, now I'm at that spot. Everything's going smoothly. Now I'm gone viral. Now what?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I the timing was like, oh, I wish I had the new album ready to like kind of send everybody there to listen to it. But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to create some content, of the new original music that'll hopefully have a little bit like the subscribers and all that kind of stuff has been jumping too. So we're trying to kind of create links and ways to kind of retain people as much as possible, and also just be grateful that people are watching and trust that I'll be able to find them again. So.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. Yeah. That's great.
Hey.
And I saw that cover. Really good job. I loved it. It was really amazing. And so I love Peter. I think you're so incredible. Just an incredible person. And, I had the pleasure of speaking with you for, at least an hour yesterday. And it was just a really great conversation. And I love getting to know people more of on a personal level than for what they do, and more of like who they are as a human being. So thank you so much for being you and putting yourself out there for us to enjoy your music and to get to know you a little bit deeper. So is there anything you want to share with the audience before we take off today?
No, I just want to thank you. And you gave me a real gift yesterday. It's such a great report. You asked such great questions, and I was really struck by that conversation. So my favorite thing about what I do is that like putting all these songs out to the world gives me this like access card where people come into my life and they want to talk, they want to connect, or they're like, I basically get to walk up and talk to people because of what I do. I mean, before I did music full time, I was a waiter and bartender, and what I always liked was like there's a table of people and I get to walk up to them, and it's not weird that I'm initiating a conversation. It's like, and so I kind of feel like my music career is that it just it allows me to interact with the world in a really rich and meaningful way. I don't have to just talk about the weather. The music kind of creates a sense of connection right out of the gate, and people relate to something, and then they want to share something. And I love that. And getting to be here with you, and getting to have a secret talk, all these amazing people that are in my life. My life is rich because of what I do.
That's awesome. And because your life is rich, you make other people's lives rich by doing what you do. So thank you so much for doing what you do. Just keep at it. And I'm looking forward to, meeting you in person again, because I did meet you in person already, and just seeing you again at some point. I know that we will have our paths cross at some point. So thank you, Peter, so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. You guys go to peterkatz.com. You can find everything that he's doing. Follow him everywhere, like on Facebook, Instagram. Go to his YouTube channel. Go watch that Beyonce cover. Go watch some of his other music as well. And just like, get Peter to one of your favorite cities, wherever you are, and just go out and see him. He's incredible.
Yeah,
so Peter, have a great day.
At Peter Katz Music on all the social platforms. So.
Yeah, go follow him everywhere. Thank you, Peter, so much. And everybody have a great day. This is Linda West with Living Live, your global mastermind coach. And I really enjoyed interviewing Peter, talking about music, his music journey. And then thank you for sharing your song with us. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.